Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 42. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajacacharya Stutara Sata Sri Srimadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 42. Atava yoginameva kule bhavati dimatam etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. Atava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. Atava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. Atava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhataram loke jamma yadidrisham. Athava, or yoginam, of learned transcendentalists. Eva, certainly. Kule, in the family. Bhavati, takes birth. Dhimatam, of those who are endowed with great wisdom. Etad, this. He, certainly. Durlabhataram, very rare. Loke, in this world. Jamma, birth. Yat, that, which. Idrisham, like this. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Or he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praised herein, because the child born in such a family receives spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India there are many such Acharya families, but they are now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalists generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on we met by the order of the transcendental system. Atavad yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam ethadhi durlabhata ram loke jamma yad idrisham. In my travels in India, I was very fortunate to meet many such families. Families of the Goswamis, families who trace back their ancestry to devotees who appeared with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in those days, 1977, they had hardly seen any Vaishnava devotee from outside India. There was no such thing. In fact, before Prabhupada traveled to the West, there's practically no example of any devotee becoming a Vaishnava outside India. One example. Bhaktisiddhanta sent some of his disciples to England and Germany, and one German person became a devotee of Krishna. So there was one example. In England, there's a nice story that the Goswami who was sent there, one of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, when he was there, he had a conversation with one of the aristocrats of England who had been the governor of West Bengal. So he knew the devotees from West Bengal. So he asked him, Swamiji, can you make me into a Brahmin? And the Goswami said, yes, of course, but there is some rules. And what are those? And no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. If you agree to follow these rules, I can make you a Brahmin. And the gentleman said, my dear Swami, it is not possible. This is our life. So there are two kinds of people in the world, Suchi and Asuchi. Suchi means one who is clean, one who understands the spiritual nature. He's clean inside and he's clean outside. And Asuchi means one who is identifying with the body and is not spiritually or materially clean. But in Bengali it is said that Muchi hoi suchi hoi jadi Krishna bhaja. If one worships Krishna, even though he comes from a degraded family, Muchi hoi, even if he's Muchi, unclean, Suchi hoi, he becomes cleansed, jadi Krishna bhaja. If, yadi, he worships Krishna. And Suchi hoi, Muchi hoi, one who is clean, Suchi, becomes contaminated, jadi Krishna tyaji, who gives up Krishna. So this is the standard. The standard, or whether one is a bona fide devotee of Krishna or not, it's not so much in the external behavior. It's in his internal commitment to Krishna. You cannot give up someone who is close to you, whether a husband or a guru or a wife or a relative, if he simply commits some sinful activity. That can happen to anyone. Living in a material world, we are surrounded by sinful activities. Meat eaters, killers, gamblers, woman hunters, men hunters. It is going on night and day everywhere. So it is not surprising that sometimes a devotee in his practice of devotional service, because of bad habits and bad example, may fall down. But he is not to be rejected if he does not give up Krishna. The standard, the criterion is, if one gives up Krishna, he is to be rejected. But if one continues to worship Krishna, and accidentally he has a fall down, and he prays to Krishna, Krishna will purify him. It is said that if you make an offense to Krishna, by chanting the holy name, that offense becomes neutralized. But if you make an offense to a devotee of Krishna, then Krishna, the devotee may forgive you, but Krishna will not. You will have to suffer. So, Muchi hoi, Suchi hoi. So, Prabhupada came to the West, and everywhere there was just irreligion, sinful activities, zero knowledge about Krishna. Even so that Prabhupada, when he came to Boston in America, and when he saw the standard of living of American people, he commented that, why you have sent me? Keno anibe e ugrastane. Why have you brought me to this terrible place? Now, Prabhupada came from Vrindavan, a little village. Where there is not even proper sanitation, where there are open sewers, there are animals walking around, monkeys, cows everywhere, not very clean. And he came to America with the beautiful skyscrapers and paved road and motor cars and shops and parks and everything. But he considered America, which was economically and materially so well developed, to be an ugrasthana, a terrible place, an ugly place. Ugra means ugly, terrible, condemned. And he considered Vrindavan to be heavenly. Why? Because in Vrindavan, people are devoted to Krishna. You cannot see and judge by the externals. You judge by the internals. If you travel in Vrindavan and surrounding villages, all the way to Rajasthan, especially in the villages, there is practically everyone is a devotee of Krishna. I was fortunate to spend some 3 or 4 years in Jaipur, and every morning I would go to Govindadev temple for Mangalarati at 4:30. This Govindadev temple, the Govindadev was established by Rupa Goswami, and there is always a crowd of people there. Some people come to Mangalarati, some people come to the noon arati, some people come to the afternoon offering at 4 o'clock, some people come to the evening 7 o'clock arati, and some people come to the last arati at 9 o'clock. But throughout the day, there is a group of people that steadily comes to take darshan of Govindadev. And externally, they are just normal people. They are government servants, businessmen, householders, not sadhus or sannyasis, they don't dress, but they are all great devotees of Govinda there. So I was very fortunate to spend time there. And of course, before that, in the 70s, I spent 10 years in India and 5 years in Bengal and 5 years in the south. And I met many, many of these families, these Goswami families, and in South India, Brahminical families. In South India, especially in Tamil Nadu, there are two groups of Brahmanas, the Iyengars and the Ayers. The Iyengars are all devotees of Vishnu, and they have two headquarters. One headquarter is in Srirangam, they are called the Tenkalai, and another group is headquartered in Tirupati, they are called the Vadakalai. And these Iyengar Brahmins are very strict in maintaining their traditions, and they're all devotees of Vishnu. Spending time there and meeting them and having a lot of interface with them, my faith increased tremendously because I could see how this culture had been maintained going back since time immemorial. And the other group are the Ayers. The Ayers are basically devotees of Shiva. They go to the Shiva temples, they don't go to the Vishnu temples. The Iyengars are devotees of Vishnu, they go to the Vishnu temple and they don't go to the Shiva temple. That's the situation there. But still, even the Iyengars who were Shiva devotees, they also became Vaishnava. In Dubai, one Iyengar Brahmana became a devotee, and I was working with his son, and his son was of marriageable age. So one time I asked him, I said, Mani Prabhu, your son needs to get married. If you like, I know some very nice young ladies from ISKCON, I can bring one for him. He said, oh, no, Swamiji, we cannot do that. He said, he has to marry in our community. So they were strict. So this is called Suchi. Suchi means they are worshippers of Krishna. So what determines a Suchi is his commitment to understanding his eternal relationship with God. So, Vadanti Tattva Vedas. How do you understand your relationship with God? By approaching a Tattva Veda, someone who knows the truth. And those people, Vadanti, what do they say? Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabdete. So, Vadanti Tattva Vedas, those who are knowledgeable about the truth, they say, Vadanti Tattva Vedas, Yaj Agyam Avyayam. What is Avyayam? Indestructible. Brahmeti is the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Absolute Truth is known as Brahman, Paramatmeti, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. These are the three levels of understanding. Usually through the practice of Jnana Yoga or transcendental knowledge, one can come to understand the Brahman effulgence, the spiritual nature. There is a material nature and there is a spiritual nature side by side. We are not simply material. We know that. The body is material, but the soul is spiritual. Therefore, we aspire for eternal life. We aspire for knowledge. We aspire for pleasure. These aspirations are the symptoms that position exists, and it is called such Chit Ananda, eternal knowledge and bliss. So when we aspire for this through knowledge, we come to understand there is a spiritual nature. This is from Jnana Yoga, and that spiritual nature is called the Brahma Jyoti. It is the effulgence of the body of Vishnu, the body of Krishna. It is his energy expanding into the spiritual and material world. Just like in the sun planet, there is a sun god, and his effulgence, his energy, his power is emanated, and we see it as sunlight and sunshine. So this spiritual brightness is called the Brahma Jyoti. It is the reflection of the body of Krishna. And Krishna says that Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritrasya vyayasya. That Brahmana, that Brahman effulgence, it is pratishta. It is underpinned by myself. So through knowledge, we can come to understand the spiritual existence. Then through yoga, we come to understand that the spiritual existence is localized in every heart. The business of a yogi is to understand the existence of Paramatma within the heart and to begin a dialogue with him. That is called yoga. And ultimately, it is Bhagavan. Bhagavan means that this effulgence, which is emanated by the all-pervading Krishna as a personality, Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulence, and Van means to possess. In fact, the father of Vyasadeva, Parasara Muni, he defined what is God. People want to know about God. Who is God? What is God? Well, here's a definition. He's Bhagavan. He has all the opulences: beauty, knowledge, strength, wealth, fame, and renunciation. To an unlimited degree. Each one of those qualities exists in Krishna to an unlimited degree. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mata paratarananyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, Dhananjaya, Mata, of me, parataram, equal or greater, na anyat, there is nothing. Kinchid asti, not one thing. So, to understand this knowledge of Bhagavan, we require to go to the devotee Bhagavata. So there is Bhagavan, there is the Bhagavata, Bhagavatam, and the Bhagavata. So Bhagavan is the Supreme Lord. The story of the Supreme Lord is in the Bhagavatam, and the person who can give you the Supreme Lord is the Bhagavata, is the devotee. Krishna is ultimately the supremely independent. But the beauty of Krishna is that he is dependent also. What is he dependent on? He is dependent on his devotee. He is dependent on their love. Their love, the devotee's love, catches Krishna and makes Krishna his own property. In fact, Krishna says that one who claims to be my devotee is not my devotee. But one who claims to be a devotee of my devotee, yes, he is my devotee. Because Krishna belongs to his devotees. Therefore, Tattvavida, one who knows knowledge, is one who knows the necessity of acquiring knowledge, prays to Krishna in the heart, and Krishna is the Chaitya Guru, the Guru within the heart. When he sees that a devotee is sincere and humble and genuine, then he sends him one of his pure devotees, and that pure devotee can give you Krishna because Krishna belongs to him. You cannot enter in Krishna Leela unless you get the mercy of Krishna's associates. Therefore, in Vrindavan, everybody prays to Srimati Radharani because going directly to Krishna may or may not work. Generally, it doesn't work. But if you go through Srimati Radharani and her associate and her devotees, then you can achieve Krishna. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that, he says, I'm not a sannyasi. I'm not a brahmana. He says, I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of the gopis, Krishna. So, dasa das anudas. And when we approach Krishna in the heart, and Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham ridi sanivishti. He says, I'm sitting in everyone's heart. Mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness comes from me. Vedais cha sarvair aham eva vidya. I am to be known by all the Vedas. Vedanta krit. I compile the Vedanta. Vedavid. I am the knower of the Vedas. So when studying the Vedas, we understand the need or the possibility of connecting with Krishna. Then we connect with him in the heart and we pray to him, and then Krishna will send us a bona fide pure devotee who will give Krishna to us, train us in such a way that we become qualified to serve in Krishna. So, what is the result of serving Krishna? The result of serving Krishna, that all our good qualities become manifested. Because we are part and parcel of God, we have in minute part and parcel quantity all of His qualities. We are just as good as God in quality. We are not as good as He is in quantity, but in quality we have all these wonderful qualities. And these qualities become manifested when we connect with God. Huh? So, Srimvata Swakata Krishna, by hearing the katha or the activities of Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, which are very, very religious and very, very spiritual, through the process of hearing and chanting, Ridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti. Ridyantasto, that which is deep in our heart, Abhadra, which is not auspicious, then we become cleansed from that. Sometimes we make propaganda and we preach about Krishna, and we see that some people are interested, some people are not interested. What is the difference? The difference is that those who are not interested are sinful. Krishna is in the heart. He knows whether you are ready to accept Him or whether you are ready to use Him. He knows what your sincerity is. It's just like when you have a relationship with someone and the relationship builds, the relationship remains strong, and as long as there are no surprises, as long as there is sincerity and open communication between the two parties. But when we see that the other party is actually not sincere, or is trying to use you, or is trying to take advantage of you, then the relationship breaks. That's why so many marriages fail. There is so much divorce. Because people pretend to be what they're not. And this pretense cannot work when it comes to Krishna in the heart. So, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. If we perform devotional service akinchana, without any motivation, bhakti to Krishna, then sarvair gunai tatra samasite sura. Automatically all the good qualities of the demigods become manifested in our heart, because we are sincerely worshipping Krishna akinchana, without any other idea, without any other motive. Whereas haro abhaktasya, those who are not devotees of Krishna, kuta mahaguna, where are their qualities? Mano ratena sati dhavato bahi. They have no quality because they're on the mental platform. Mental platform means that I want this today, and I want this tomorrow, and I want this. It doesn't work with Krishna. Krishna will not give someone a benediction that will cause that person to ask again and again and again for more of the same benediction. Krishna is not stupid. He will not do that. If you want some material benefit again and again and again, life after life after life, then Krishna advises you to worship the demigods. But he also says that worshipping the demigods is not very intelligent. Why? Because worshipping the demigods, the fruits, antavat tu param tesham, yad bhavati alpamedasham. Those who are less intelligent, they are satisfied to get benedictions from the demigods. But those benedictions are antavat, they are temporary. And the result is, devan deva yajo yanti. Those who worship the demigods go to the demigods. If you worship something material, you remain in a material world. Mad bhakta yajino mam api. But those who worship me comes to me. The difference between going to a demigod and the difference going to Krishna is, when you go to Krishna, you don't come back in the material world. So sometimes we see that people are not interested in Krishna consciousness. even though you ask them or preach to them, try to reason them with the Bhagavad Gita, they're not interested. So the only answer is, my dear friend, you don't want to worship Krishna, feel free to take another birth and another birth and another birth. These are the problems. You cannot make this material world a pleasurable place. You cannot solve material problems by material activities. Because even if you solve temporarily your material problems, you have to take another birth. You have to get old, you have to die. In any case, with your birth, so many material facilities are given to you, so much enjoyment is given to you, and so much pain is given to you. It is a package deal. You cannot change it. The only thing you can change is your consciousness, how you react. Therefore, Krishna says, Tat titiksha bharata, just tolerate these things. Antavanta ime deha, the body is coming and going. Nityas yukta sharirina, but that who is inside the body, the soul, it is nitya. It is shashvato, it is eternal, it is purana, it is beginningless. Nahanyate anyamane sharira, when the body is finished, he is not finished. So this is the message of Bhagavad Gita. It is not difficult, it just requires a little sincerity and a cessation of sinful activities. If you are sinful, you cannot make a connection with Krishna. Thank you very much. So we have two comments, one from Mandi, Priya from England, and from Vishnivamsa, all glories to the assembled devotees. Thank you very much for participating, and I look forward to speaking with you again next Wednesday. Hare Krishna.